This was supposed to be just only one video. The first video went for about 10 minutes, which was a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So that's why this one now is going to be part 2. We're supposed to finish this one yesterday, but I decided to leave it overnight. Just the resin wasn't drying as quick as I had liked it to, and I did end up deciding that I wanted to sand it back rather than putting a coat over the top. Well, it was tacky. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to sand it back and then apply our next seal coat on top. So it's been sitting for almost 24 hours now. There's a little bit of dust and dirt on there, but we'll sand that off. So right now I'm going to give this a sand. I'm going to start with 120. I'm just going to lightly go over the top because there are some spots where the grip tape is still showing. That's going to give us that mechanical bond for when we put our next coat of resin on. So now I'm going to go and sand the sides. We'll be using the random orbital sander for this, and I will be going at about 120 grit for this. So now I'm going to mix up the resin. I'm going to be using about 500 ml this time, but I will be tinting it with the same color as the river, only slightly, just to give it that little bit of a glow on the top. Also, as I mentioned in the last video, this is the resin that I'm using for this project by All Purpose Coatings. The pigment I'm using is Super Copper by Pearl Effects. As I said, we don't need much, it's just to tint the surface ever so slightly. I'm going to go about half of that, I think, or all of it. Now I'm just going to transfer this into a second cup just to check the transparency. That is pretty much exactly where I wanted it. So I think that went really well. The little bit of tint definitely helped. It's only so subtle, but because it's metallic, it's just got that little shimmer in there. And I think with the clear on top, that's just gonna come out and just look amazing. Now the glass coat that I keep talking about that I'll be putting on top isn't from All Purpose Coatings, it's from Barnes and it's called epoxy glass. I've used this on another project of mine and the finish is exactly like glass. It's absolutely unbelievable, so I've used it before. I will be trying the All Purpose Coatings, I think it's called Glaze, but for something like this I do want to use what I know. Another thing I like to do while the project is drying, or especially at this stage, is just to grab a brush and just go along the edge here, just to get rid of any bubbles. On another note though, when I did come out here, I had a parcel at the door, which is going to be for another project, but let's have a look. So I ordered some timber slice offcuts last week, and they've arrived today. These will be for another video. We're going to be making coasters out of these, so I'm very excited for this. And these are from Stringy Bark Supplies. But yeah, these are very cool. So yeah, we'll give it a little bit more. We'll see how this is going by the end of the day. We may be able to pour our glass coat on this afternoon, maybe tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll hope for today though. All right, we are back. It's been 24 hours now. The table's had enough time to set, so that means we can sand back and then do our first coat of the epoxy glass. As always, in between pouring your epoxy, you need to sand the surface. So I'll be sanding at 120 grit, just lightly, enough to create that mechanical bond. So our first coat of epoxy glass is on, chopped and troweled. I measured this and poured this at a ratio of 1 square foot per ounce, and it came to about 4 ounces. And the next one I'll do the same, and then for the third coat I'll double that to 2 ounces per square foot. Alright, so we are back. It's been about 24 hours now. The top coat has dried perfectly, so what I'm going to do now is give it a sand, probably at about 120 grit, just to scuff it up, and then we'll do our next flood coat. Because the timber wasn't even, it's needing a little bit more resin than I had hoped, but I'd say probably only one more, and that should be enough. For the first gloss coat, I used 120 mil. This coat, I'm going to be doubling that to about 240. So that should hopefully cover the rest of this surface and give us the top coat that we need with no imperfections. Okay, so that coat is now done. I probably will need to do one more, but it'll only be about 200 or 300 mil, and that should get rid of any of the other little small holes and divots there, and that'll make it completely flat then. So we'll leave this for about 24 hours again, come back tomorrow, and then we'll do that coat, and then we can start working on the bottom from there. Alright, it's flood coat time. So step 1, we're going to be sanding back to 120 grit. Step 2, we will be applying our epoxy, about half a litre this time. And then step 3, we let it sit, we wait, and we get a perfectly flat surface. Alright, so the epoxy's been on now for about an hour. It's tacky, so it's drying, it's doing its thing. I was hoping to have this all done in 2 parts. That's not going to happen. I did try, but we're going to have to go for a third. So stick around for that one. Probably won't be as long as this video will, but it will finish the build completely. And if you did watch part 1, thank you. If you've watched this one, thank you for watching this one as well. I hope the series has been helpful if it's something you're looking at getting into or just something that you're interested in.